Hello again. This is a short video which is going to show you how to assemble the uIDE device and fit it to a Superbrain. So before we start, I'm going to identify the components or the parts. Not all of them are required, but anyway, so this here is the uIDE device. It's a simple interface that allows the Superbrain to access an IDE device like these two here. Now these are called DOMs, disk on module is what it means. They're a little bit like compact flash cards, but they're much more compatible when it comes to using with devices like the uIDE, and for that reason I recommend it. So the DOM is used as the mass storage device. Right, so you've got a uIDE device interface, you've got a DOM, which is your storage device. You need a means to connect it to the Superbrain. Now, the way that we do this is using one of these. And this thing is called a Z80 shim. And it's called a shim because it goes in between the main board of the Superbrain and the processor. So what I've actually done here is I've taken the CPU, whoops, wrong side. I've taken the CPU, that's this thing here, out of the Superbrain, and I've plugged it into the top of the shim. And then I can put the shim inside the Superbrain, and I'll have access to all of the Z80's pins, which is what I need in order to interface my uIDE to the Superbrain. Right, so that's the shim board. The next thing that you need is this thing. So this is a very straightforward piece of cabling. Not sure you can see it. It's a 40-way IDE cable essentially. So all it is 40 pins, IDC female on the left, IDC female on the right. Note where the red pin is and the locating tang. Okay, so these are both the same. This is pin 1, it's supposed to mean pin 1, and these little tabs ensure that you don't put them in upside down. So this cable is going to go between the Z80 shim and the uIDE card, and I'll show you how it connects. So let's just see now which one's pin 1. Okay, this is the right hand shim, which means it goes this way up, and you've got the top of the chip there, which means pin 1's at the top. So in order to connect this, we would put it in, whoops, this way around, I think. You push those in like that, and there's that part of the connection. So in order to proceed, now we need to put the uIDE in on the other side. So you'll see that the little tab mates up with the hole in the board connector. So you just push that in like that. Oops. Let's put that down and click it in. So now we've got the uIDE, and it's connected to the shim. So far so good. Now we have, I'm going to have to hold this down because the cable seems to be a bit, let's see if I can bend that. That's a bit better. Right, so yeah, this cable's a little bit on the long side. So interface is connected, everything's good. We now have options. We can either plug a DOM straight into it, which would go in like that. It's probably the neatest solution. I expect most people will do this, but if you're really greedy and you want to have lots and lots of drives, you can add a slave drive. So the the IDE specification says that any interface that you use, you can connect more than one drive to it, and one is designated the master, and there's a secondary drive designated slave. On this DOM module, there's a little white switch which you can see here, and it's a 2-position switch. One position says S and one position says M. No prizes for guessing what those mean. The M, if you set this switch to M, it means that drive is a master. If you set it to S, it means the drive is a slave. But you still need to be able to connect both of them to the uIDE device, and for that you need one of these. Now this is just another one of these 40-way ribbon cables with an IDC female connector at one end, which goes into the right hand side of the uIDE card, and 2 male ribbon mounted connectors on the right hand side. So you can plug this in here. Now this is the master drive, so it's always best to have the master drive closest to the interface, and then you can plug the slave drive in behind it, like that, and then you can plug this into the uIDE device. There you go, like that. So now you've got this rather long and tortuous looking piece of electronics, which you will plug into the motherboard of the Superbrain in the CPU socket. Now you don't need to have a slave drive. Okay, this is very important. This is you know, you may not need all this space. I mean, there's the drive as it stands are just a single one of these DOMs that give you 8 megabyte drives. Sorry, 16 8 megabyte drives, and you can store an awful lot of CPM software on there. So in the case of you just having one drive, you just have the master. It must be set to master, and you can plug it directly into the uIDE card and have a much neater solution. But because I've already shown this working, I'm going to show it working with the slave setup. So we put this back into the slave cable. Apologies if you can't see it properly, but this is what happens if you try to shoot videos using a telephone. So now we have our rig. I'm now going to connect this to the Superbrain, and we'll have a quick demo, so that'll be in the next video.